Simon Woolley, who is the only black head of a college in Cambridge and Oxford. And Simon Woolley bestowed Reverend Jackson with the Honorary Fellowship Award. Reverend haven't seen this video yet. It's about 2 minutes, so Reverend Jackson.
Principal. Steps on behalf of the Reverend Jesse Jackson, our honorary fellow, this album of photographs to commemorate his visit to Hamilton College in December of last year. Thank you, Matthew, and my friend, Carol, and my honorary fellow from college, Cambridge University. This day, we are remembered on many occasions to the College of Cambridge University, the day that we bestowed you honorary fellowship. Each member, young and old, black and white, enjoyed this day as I did. Bestowed my order with a lifetime fellowship. This gave me so much pleasure. Thank you, Matthew. And principal, we accept on behalf of the Reverend Jesse Jackson this Cambridge MA gown to which he is entitled as an honorary fellow of the college. Thank you. Again, I'm sorry I can't be with you, but to view this gown in person, because they say there's a superheroes have capes, and this is now your new cape. Not that you need a cape to have done all the things that you have done over many, many decades. You're my hero. You're many people's hero across the world. I hope to see you soon, whether that's in London or Cambridge or Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C., for the Congressional Black Caucus. You're in our spirit. You're in our lives. Have a great day there in Chicago. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There's one more hand for the Reverend. We are going to be listening to our panelists who are specialists in the two topics or three topics that we are going to be speaking about. Before I bring them on board, I just want to let you know that some of our folks who are supposed to be coming were involved in this area of airline confusion yesterday. Even the consul from Nigeria in New York has not been able to get a flight. I just got a text from them saying, oh, we will not be here by 11 o'clock. We know it's already 11 o'clock, which is 12 o'clock in New York. Unfortunately, when they come in, we'll let you know. On behalf of our Reverend and our leader, I'm Dr. Awa, serving as Chief Financial Officer for the state of Illinois. And I am here by invitation, as well as a member of PUSH. James has just finished speaking. He is a man who has been responsible and instrumental in getting the international affairs of the Rainbow Coalition in order. So please give him a round of applause. James Gomez. Welcome to the 56th Rainbow PUSH Coalition Convention. Our panelists are going to be speaking on issues that relate to the African continent in terms of trade. As you well know, Africans are always seeking avenues to improve not only diplomatic relationships with other nations, but also trade and development in our continent. We are still trying to explore the possibility of having a continental free trade area in Africa, as well as how to pay for it. These panelists are going to speak in on that, and hopefully it will be a very genuine way of getting information that you can utilize and say, yes, the continent is doing something nice and fruitful. We'll be speaking about the birth of the continental free trade, which is one of those instruments that have been developed to improve trade, intra-African trade relationships, and therefore liberalize trade within the continent. We have on my right-hand side the former Prime Minister of the Republic of Congo. He will be introducing himself later. Next is one of the most heroic international trade functionary. She is from Ghana, Matilda. She will introduce herself. And finally, somebody that I have worked with, walked by, walked on, stepped on, beat him up, whatever. And he's here, Olivier Kamanzi. They will be introducing themselves. I just want to make sure that we are all aware of what is going on in the continent. My first introduction will be to, he doesn't speak a lot of English, so we'll be having somebody to translate. And unfortunately, as I've said earlier, somebody whom I've been beating up, walked with, stepped on, is going to be also the translator from French to English. Mr. Prime Minister, your turn. Thank you.
Bonjour à tous.
Good morning, everyone.
Je m'excuse, mais je serai obligé de vous parler en français puisque je ne maîtrise pas tout à fait votre langue.
I'm sorry, I'm going to talk in English as I don't master your language.
C'est toujours difficile d'être le premier intervenant,
It's always difficult to be the beginner.
mais c'est mieux d'être le premier plutôt que le dernier intervenant.
It's better to be first than be the last.
Et ça, je vais laisser ça à mon ami Olivier.
Then I'll be the last.
Je m'appelle Sami Badibanga.
My name is Sami Badibanga.
Je suis un ancien Premier ministre de la République démocratique du Congo.
I'm a former Prime Minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo.
J'ai été aussi premier vice-président du Sénat congolais.
I was also the Vice President for Senate of Democratic Republic of Congo.
Et après avoir été député, je suis aujourd'hui sénateur en République démocratique du Congo.
After being a member of Parliament, I'm now Senate in the Senate of Republic Democratic of Congo.
Je vais essayer de vous parler de l'Afrique, des possibilités de développement et de ses opportunités d'investissement.
I do my best to speak to you about the development of Africa and the opportunities available in the Africa.
Et je pourrai répondre à certaines questions lors des échanges qu'il y aura entre nous.
I'll be able to respond to your questions as we continue this conversation.
L'Afrique, comme vous le savez, est un continent qui est composé de 54 pays.
Africa, as you know it, is comprised of 54 countries.
Aujourd'hui, l'Afrique a une population d'1,4 milliard d'habitants.
Today, Africa has 1.4 billion people.
À l'horizon 2030, nous allons atteindre 1,7 milliard d'habitants.
Around 2030 is going to be around 4 billion people.
Et 2,5 milliards en 2050.
2.5 billion in 2050.
Comme vous pouvez le comprendre, il sera très difficile à notre continent de développer en même temps avec les 54 pays qui la composent.
As you can imagine, it's going to be difficult to develop with 54 countries that comprises of Africa.
Comme aux États-Unis ou encore en Europe, il y a toujours des pays majeurs qui influencent le reste des voisins.
As in America, there will be always those big countries that will influence others or take advantage of others.
Aujourd'hui, l'Afrique qui essaie de développer son propre marché intérieur a un gros problème de connexion.
Africa, as it's trying to connect or to build its infrastructure, it still has a weak infrastructure development.
Elle doit donc arriver à construire ses propres valeurs,
It has to build its own values,
une chaîne de valeurs idéale.
the supply chain value, and the added value as well.
Elle doit pouvoir arriver à une transformation des valeurs mondiales.
It has to be added value at the level of international level
Et arriver à développer son marché intérieur.
and be able to develop internal markets.
Comme je le disais tout à l'heure, il faut des pays moteurs qui peuvent arriver à engager le mouvement pour le reste des pays de l'Afrique.
As I was saying, there has to be those countries that will be engine for the development of Africa.
Le choix de ces pays est fait en fonction du nombre des habitants de chaque pays.
The choice of will be based on the level of development of those countries,
De leur économie,
the size of economy,
de leur marché intérieur,
the internal markets,
de leur connexion avec les marchés de la région,
the infrastructure connections between countries.
des enjeux de la sécurité,
Security issues will be also
des défis humanitaires et de la situation sociale.
the challenge, the socio-economic challenges as well.
Cela suppose d'une part des réformes profondes
This will require profound reform,
et d'autre part des investissements majeurs dans les infrastructures,
also major investments in infrastructure,
notamment dans le transport.
such as transportation.
Il y a des milliers de kilomètres qu'il faut construire dans chaque pays.
There are many long distances and miles they develop.
Je vous donne un exemple de notre pays, la République démocratique du Congo.
I give you an example such as Democratic Republic of Congo.
C'est un pays qui fait 2 435 kilomètres carrés.
It's a country that makes around 215,000 million square kilometers.
Il y a des coins dans le même pays où il faut faire 2 heures à vol d'avion pour y arriver.
There are some distances where you have to make like 2 hours of flight.
Donc vous pouvez vous imaginer l'opportunité pour ceux qui investissent dans la construction des infrastructures routières et de chemins de fer.
You can imagine investment opportunities in infrastructure development.
Et évidemment aussi dans le domaine aérien, où l'Afrique doit atteindre un niveau d'unité au niveau aérien.
Of course, in the area of aviation, there is really opportunity there to develop.
D'autre part, il faut aussi investir dans la transformation des minerais.
Of course, we have to transform our mining.
Au Congo, par exemple, nous avons tous les métaux de base, sans oublier les terres rares en termes de minerais.
Of course, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, we have those natural the mines that we really need to develop.
Et donc, ces minerais doivent être transformés en semi-produits finis ou en produits finis.
These mines has to be developed with some finished and the finished products.
À titre d'exemple, vous avez le cobalt et le lithium qui sont incontournables pour la construction des véhicules électriques.
For example, I can name about cobalt, where you have a lithium, the metal that you can use in the construction of vehicles or batteries for cars.
Vous avez notamment le coltan qui, dans tous les produits électroniques, ordinateurs, téléphones, etc., intervient énormément.
Of course, you have a coltan that you could use to manufacture many electronics, including cell phones.
Et pour arriver aussi à pas une transformation, mais un investissement dans le domaine de l'énergie.
Also, we can achieve the transformation of energy.
Le Congo aujourd'hui a un potentiel de 100 000 mégawatts.
The Congo has potentials to produce around 100 megawatts.
Cette énergie peut pouvoir électrifier toute l'Afrique et même une partie de l'Europe.
That's the capacity that can really electrify the entire Africa, even beyond.
Mais aujourd'hui, la couverture énergétique n'est que de 9% sur le plan domestique.
Of course, today the coverage in electricity only covers around 9%.
Et vous pouvez vous imaginer toutes les entreprises minières qui se trouvent au Congo ont grandement besoin d'énergie.
Of course, you can imagine how much the mining companies based in Congo need so badly more energies, electricity.
Et le besoin est tellement important qu'aujourd'hui, les sociétés minières importent de l'énergie vers le Congo.
The needs are so huge in a way those companies are obliged to import energies outside of the Congo.
Et donc ça, c'est un second domaine d'investissement possible pour l'énergie qui est une énergie hydroélectrique et donc une énergie propre.
There is a second source of energies, such as hydropower energy, that also is an opportunity as well.
Et cette énergie peut permettre au continent africain de passer la transition énergétique sans trop de soucis.
These sources of energies can be used or utilized really to provide such energies that Africa badly needs.
Nous avons aussi besoin d'investissement dans le domaine des télécoms.
We have also a need for investment in the telecommunication sector.
La plupart des domaines télécoms couverts en Afrique, c'est surtout dans les grandes villes.
The majority of telecom companies are based in the cities.
Et donc, dans les milieux ruraux, il y a un déficit important. Or, les secteurs ruraux représentent 60 à 65% des populations dans les pays africains.
In rural areas, as you can imagine, there is a lack of the development in terms of communication. That a region, that rural area represents around 60% of population in Africa.
Et les télécoms vont de pair avec l'Internet.
Of course, telecommunication goes together with internet.
Il y a d'autres domaines d'investissement, bien évidemment, dans les filets sociaux.
There are other also areas of investment in social development.
Dans l'éducation, la formation, la santé, et j'en passe.
For example, education, health, and so on and so forth.
Et il ne faut pas oublier le domaine de l'agriculture avec l'agroalimentaire.
Of course, agriculture is so important in agribusiness.
Le Congo a une réserve de 80 millions de terres arables.
For example, Congo has 80 million hectares arable lands.
Et ça suffit, c'est suffisamment important pour couvrir la crise alimentaire qu'il peut y avoir en Afrique.
It's enough to cover all food crisis that can arise across the African continent.
Deuxièmement, il y a aussi des réformes qu'il faut arriver à apporter dans le domaine de la législation.
Of course, there are so many things can bring in terms of legal framework.
La facilitation du commerce, on a déjà cassé les barrières douanières, mais il y a aussi d'autres barrières qui doivent être cassées.
For example, doing the business, there are some barriers that we really need also to improve.
La simplification fiscale.
For example, the tax facilitation.
Et nous devons arriver à une harmonisation de la législation entre les différents pays de la région.
We need to reach a level whereby we can facilitate the harmonization of taxation at a very friendly level.
Je vous ai parlé tout à l'heure des pays qui doivent être les pays moteurs, les détonateurs de cette économie en Afrique.
I told you earlier about the countries that will serve the base or engine of the development of Africa.
Je pense que nous pouvons passer de parler de 12 pays essentiellement.
we can talk about around 12 countries, basically.
Rappelez-vous, je l'ai dit, en fonction de leur taille en population, de l'économie, de leur marché intérieur, etc.
Of course, as you can recall, I talked about in terms of the size of the population, the size of the economy, and so on and so forth.
Dans le nord, nous avons le Maroc et l'Égypte.
For example, the pool in the north, we can have Morocco and Egypt.
On peut annexer aussi l'Algérie avec son gaz, évidemment.
You can annex Algeria with its own natural gas.
À l'est, nous avons l'Éthiopie et le Kenya.
In the east of Africa, we can talk about Ethiopia and Kenya.
À l'ouest, nous avons le Nigeria, le Ghana, la Côte d'Ivoire et le Sénégal.
In West Africa, we can talk about Ghana, Nigeria, and Senegal.
Et dans le sud, nous avons l'Afrique du Sud.
Of course, in the southern Africa, we can talk about South Africa.
Mais au cœur de l'Afrique, nous avons la République démocratique du
At the
Congo.
center, in the heart of Africa, we can talk about the Democratic Republic of Congo.
C'est un pays qui a plus de 100 millions d'habitants,
It's a country that has 100 million people.
qui a 9 voisins, donc au niveau de la connexion régionale,
It's bordering with 9 countries surrounding Congo.
et qui a toutes ces richesses que vous connaissez.
That has its riches, as you know.
Aujourd'hui, les pays africains ont un objectif principal bien connu, c'est le financement public.
Today, Africa has the major program that is public finance.
Comme le disait la patronne du FMI,
As I was saying, the IMF managing director,
après la Covid, pour sortir de cette crise, il faut dépenser, dépenser et encore dépenser.
of the COVID pandemic, we have to spend, spend, and spend.
Et donc, le FMI a évalué à 285 milliards de dollars le financement dont l'Afrique a besoin dans les 5 ans à venir.
The IMF already came up with 285 billion US dollars that has to be invested in the continent for Africa.
Mais après études faites, nous pensons que les 12 pays ont besoin de 100 milliards de dollars.
After studies that we conducted, actually we need 112
100 milliards.
100 billion US dollars.
Je rappelle ici que ces 12 pays constituent les 65% de la population africaine.
Just to tell you, the 12 countries I mentioned represent around 60% of the GDP in Africa.
Ils représentent 70% du PIB africain.
They represent 70%
70%
of the GDP in Africa.
Et ils ont utilisé les 62% qui ont été tirés dernièrement avec le BTS par la Banque mondiale et le FMI.
And they have already utilized 72% of the DTS that was made available by IMF.
Il y a eu effectivement un tirage de 660 milliards de BTS, ce qui fait 943 milliards de dollars.
Of course, there is around 60% that has been spent in terms of the around 660
660 milliards de BTS.
Around 660.
660.
Okay. Around 660 million or billion.
Ce qui fait 943 milliards de dollars.
That makes around 943 billion US dollars. Right.
Sur ce montant, l'Afrique n'a bénéficié que de 33 milliards de dollars avec ses 1,4 milliard d'habitants.
Only Africa benefited around 33 billion US dollars.
L'Europe, qui a moins de 800 millions d'habitants, a bénéficié de plus de 460 millions de dollars. 460 milliards de dollars.
The Europe, that you know its size smaller than Africa, has benefited around
460 milliards.
460 billion US dollars.
Et il n'y a pas eu de réallocation de ces crédits des pays riches vers les pays en développement.
There has not been any allocation from developed countries to developing countries.
Et le deuxième problème, c'est que les pays africains ne bénéficient pas de l'accès au marché international de financement.
The main problem is Africa does not have access to international markets.
Le problème est dû à la mauvaise notation dont ils peuvent avoir.
The problem is related to bad credit rating at international level.
Or, s'ils peuvent aller sur le marché international de financement, ils vont bénéficier de meilleurs taux et d'un temps beaucoup plus long de remboursement.
If they could access to international market, they could benefit the low interest rates, also better terms of borrowing.
Voilà pourquoi nous sommes arrivés à une réflexion aujourd'hui sur les solutions à apporter.
That's why we arrived at the level where we need to provide or come up with solutions.
Nous n'avons pas inventé de solution. C'est un système qu'on a appelé monoliner qui a existé ici aux États-Unis.
We did not never invent these systems. The same system came here from the United States of America.
C'est un système où les communes et les villes bénéficient des garanties des États américains pour leur permettre d'obtenir des crédits.
It's a system that is based on municipalities, where municipalities can be developed by borrowing money from the government.
Et donc, c'est un mécanisme de rehaussement de crédit qui va pouvoir couvrir le déficit de la notation dont ont les pays africains.
It's a system that's going to benefit Africa, whereby Africa can borrow from the international system.
C'est un système d'assurance de paiement, de défaut de paiement des emprunteurs par une garantie qui peut être posée au niveau de la Banque mondiale.
It's a kind of insurance that provides guarantees that you can use to borrow money.
Idéalement, il faudrait obtenir des garanties de 50 milliards de dollars aujourd'hui.
Ideal is to be able to borrow around 15 billion US dollars.
Pourquoi 50 milliards? Mais tout simplement parce qu'il y a un effet de levier qui se multiplie par 5 et vous pouvez obtenir sur le marché 250 milliards de dollars.
Of course, this is an effect you can use to international markets to be able to use it and borrow more money on international markets.
Deux possibilités pour obtenir cet argent.
There are two ways you can borrow money.
Ce capital garanti,
These guarantees for capital,
obtenir un nouveau tirage de la Banque mondiale,
getting another DTS from World Bank,
qu'on appelle le tirage spécial,
That's
donc
it.
en DTS,
that we call DTS from World Bank and then IMF,
pour obtenir une réallocation des DTS qui ont été loués, alloués plutôt aux pays riches.
or to obtain those DTS that have been allocated to developed nations.
Ça se fait pour le moment, mais ça se fait sur le plan bilatéral.
It's done today, but it's done at the bilateral level.
Mais la négociation doit se faire au niveau continental.
The negotiations can only be done at a continental level.
Parce que les 12 pays que j'ai cités tout à l'heure peuvent apporter, deuxièmement, leur garantie souveraine.
Because the 12 countries that I mentioned, they can borrow using its own sovereign guarantees.
Rappelez-vous que ces pays représentent 70% du PIB africain.
Remember, those countries represent 70% of the GDP of Africa.
Et donc voilà, à notre avis, la démarche que nous devons mener, le lobbying que nous devons avoir et les discussions que nous devons engager avec les divers organismes et les différents pays pour pouvoir arriver à sortir l'Afrique de ce néant.
You can see the kind of work we have to conduct, the lobbying we have to lead, the connections that we need all over, so that we'll be able to access to this kind of funding Africa needs.
Je ne vais pas terminer mon propos sans parler en quelques mots de la question des conditions climatiques.
I cannot finish without talking about the climate change.
Toutes les connaissances et les outils nécessaires pour avoir un meilleur climat et atteindre l'objectif d'1,5 degré Celsius sont connus de nos jours.
What we know, the all conditions that we need to have to can COD on the climate change are very well known.
Parmi ces solutions, il y a l'accord de Paris,
Some of the solutions will be Paris Accord.
il y a les mécanismes de conservation de la nature,
There is a mechanism to conserve the soil
d'une manière générale et des forêts en particulier.
in general, also in particular.
Et bien sûr, les mécanismes d'accélération de la transition énergétique.
Also, there is a mechanism that we can use to accelerate the climate change.
À ce jour, la RDC dispose de 155 millions de forêts et donc est le numéro 1 aujourd'hui en termes de forêts devant l'Amazonie qui a connu une forte détérioration.
Today, Democratic Republic of Congo has 155
millions.
Ça, c'est 155 million different diverse,
L'Amazonie,
the various different tree forest that can be bring the Democratic of Congo being the second after Amazon.
et ce pays est considéré comme étant le premier poumon du monde aujourd'hui.
Today, Congo can be considered as the first countries like let's say how you call it, basically you can call it the reserve of the world.
Voilà. J'ai parlé tout à l'heure aussi de 80 millions d'hectares de terres arables pour l'agriculture.
I told earlier about 18 million hectares of land, arable land.
Et j'ai parlé aussi de cette réserve de 100 000 mégawatts en énergie hydroélectrique.
I also mentioned about 100 megawatts in power energy available today.
Et donc, toutes ces ressources réunies avec le reste de l'Afrique montrent que l'Afrique aujourd'hui est une grande réserve pour le monde dans le domaine climatique.
All those resources that are mentioned, you can see, bring Africa being the number one in terms of resources, also to address the climate change of the world.
Aujourd'hui, l'Afrique n'est pas seulement un continent d'avenir, mais c'est un continent du présent et de l'avenir.
Today, Africa is not only a continent of the future, it's a continent for today and the future.
Avec sa réserve 65% à 70% de jeunes,
with the over 60 to 65% of population being the youth.
je vais donner un exemple. En termes d'internautes, l'Afrique était à 516 millions en 2018.
I can give you an example in terms of internet. Africa youth was around 517
56 millions d'internautes. 516.
It was about 560 million users.
516 000.
Okay. It was 576 million of users.
Aujourd'hui, le chiffre a été multiplié par 116.
Today, the number has increased to 116
pour atteindre 233 millions
users. To achieve
233 millions d'internautes.
230 million of users.
Et donc aujourd'hui, s'il faudrait investir, bien investir, il faudrait choisir l'Afrique.
If today you are going to invest your money, choose Africa.
Je vous remercie.
Thank you.
Thank you, His Excellency the Prime Minister. Please give you one more round of applause. It's always good to have somebody who has the stuff in his head to say something about stuff. Before we move on to our discussions, I would like to call on the chairwoman of the Rainbow Push Coalition to say hello to you. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bonjour tout le monde. Bonjour. Ah, voilà. Monsieur le Premier ministre, pour nous, toujours. Et Madame ma soeur, nous vous souhaitons la bienvenue ici. Aux États-Unis, mais à Chicago, c'est notre ville, c'est votre ville, c'est notre pays, c'est votre pays. Au nom du révérend Jesse Jackson,
et de notre organisation. Nous vous remercions pour votre discours, vos commentaires aujourd'hui, parce que nous savons que notre pays, le continent, c'est comme si c'était notre pays ici aux États-Unis. Donc, nous vous remercions pour tout ce que vous faites, pour votre leadership. Et vraiment, c'est un grand plaisir pour nous, dans ce pays, de vous recevoir ma sœur aussi. Merci. So I'm going to translate just very quickly what I said. Because you know, at Rainbow Push, we don't play. So I said, on behalf of Reverend Jackson, we want to thank the Prime Minister, our Prime Minister. He's a former Prime Minister, but he's always our Prime Minister, for his wonderful comments. Because what we know is that he's here, we're receiving him here in our country, in our city, at Rainbow Push. But that our country, our continent, for us, is the African continent. So we thank him for his comments. And when we talk about all the things, people talk about all the things that divide us. We talked about the things that unite us. So thank you. I just want to say a few words, Reverend, on your behalf of the organization, because this is our friend. This is our friend. You are our friends, and we believe in the diaspora and all that we can do together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congo is fighting. We are speaking about the resources of the Congo mix of the world. How do we get the message? What can we do to help them get the message on how Congo really represents football? And the gentleman right here, Ohio, reminding football in Africa. By the fact.
What he's saying is, my name is Steve Hightower, and we're currently in partnership with Dikembe Mutumbe in bringing cobalt and other rare earth materials from Congo here to the U.S. and looking at doing a manufacturing facility in Ohio. So, I'd love to speak to you.
Et dès qu'il y a un partenariat qui sont en train d'établir pour amener le cobalt dans l'État d'Ohio. Et donc, il est un businessman, donc il est en train de travailler entre le Congo et l'État d'Ohio pour importer le cobalt. Merci beaucoup, c'est ce qu'il faut faire.
Thank you. We are going to go ahead with some discussions on this topic. I think he has laid out everything that we need. I will be calling on our young lady from Ghana to give us the first, introduce herself, and then move on to our speaking topics. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a good morning still. I'd like to, first of all, Reverend Jesse Jackson, thank you so much for being the bridge of hope for us here and on the continent. And I'd like to also thank you for holding the hands of Brother Gomez to shine the torch of hope on the continent during this journey. You have inspired the young people on the continent. You probably don't know. Bobby Wine, you've inspired him political activism. You've inspired Oliver Barker in Ghana, social activism. You've inspired economic activism. Last month, Kendrick Lamar went to Ghana to launch his album because he knows we are one. So I thank you for that inspiration. I am honored to be on this platform with such distinguished panelists and a moderator from the Black House. My name is Matilda Ahen. I run the Ghana International Chamber of Commerce, and I'm also a consultant. I am so grateful today to be here. I'm a curator of opportunities and information between the continent of Africa and the US, mostly my brothers and sisters. Behind the scene, we've been punching, and I see that it is working slowly. So I thank everyone here today for spending or wanting to spend their time with us, and hope that we really can bring this conversation to the fact that we are one, and the continent belongs to all of us. Thank you.
Come on, Jose. Good morning, everyone. Reverend Jesse Jackson, Simon. We are so blessed to have you are living legend. We are so blessed to have you for so many years. What you are doing to empower the Black people, you're connecting with the rest of the world. The Africa today is becoming free because of the work you've been doing. We thank you so much. If I can ask everybody to give a hand to him, to thank him, what he has been doing over years. Thank you so much. Please give him all a hand, please. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. The entire family for Rainbow Push Coalition, it's my honor to be one of you. I've been also member for Rainbow Push. It's a blessing to belong with you guys. Many of you meet every day. And so I'm really happy to know I have sisters and brothers. My name is Olivier Kamanzi. I was born in Rwanda and then I became African citizen. And now I became a global citizen. I'm chairman of Africa Global Chamber of Commerce. I'm also chairman of Africa Diaspora 6th region in Illinois. Also, I'm a businessman. I run a business on the continent of Africa in about 6 countries in Africa. As a matter of fact, a few weeks ago, I was in DRC. I had the opportunity to meet your Excellency. So it was a great honor when you asked me, would you mind to translate when I come to Chicago? That's when he asked me, I said, I will do it with a pleasure. Thank you so much. Even though I spent so many years outside of Africa, but I still speaking the beautiful language of the DRC Congo. Thank you, Your Excellency, for the work you're doing. And many of you might not know him. He's a very humble person. The current change that took place in DRC, the change, the flip of the parliament, based around the president, the current president, he's engineer. He's one engineer that change you've seen in DRC today. He's a man, he's a civic politician, not only politician, he's a human. So thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you. Thank you. My good brother, Dr. Ewa, Matilda, and all of you, once again, good morning. I'm here to share with you about Africa, specifically about AFCFTA, Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Thank you.
Thank you. We have heard exactly what His Excellency has said in laying out the problems that African continent face relative to intertrade. He also mentioned the financial aspect of it and the problems associated with it. The first question I would like to address would be, what do you mean by the African Free Trade Zone? Can you expatiate on that and let us know exactly what it is, so that when people ask questions, we'll be having some answers for them. Matilda?
Thank you so much, Brother, for this question. It probably saddens some of us to see that Africa, with 1.4 billion people, 54 countries, never traded among each other. We always looked outward to trade. And so up until the signing of the agreement, we were dealing with everybody else but with each other. And this kind of represents what we have in our community here. Our dollars does not stay in our community. And so the leaders came together and said, we have to change this. We have to trade among ourselves at the same time that we're trading with other people. So Africa Continental Free Trade Area is literally saying Africans are now going to look inward to trade among ourselves. And then, so for economic growth, and the secretariat is in Ghana, where I come from. And so we're doing very well with that. I think you're very much aware of that too. And that's it. And one thing that is also important, that the African Union, when they came together, they decided to also form the CIS region, which is very important. The CIS region refers to you and I, all African, people of African descent outside the continent. So that means the Africa Continental Free Trade Area must include all of us. And so that is why this is important for you and I.
Thank you. Trying to liberalize trade among Africans and increase intra-African trade comes with some financial difficulties. I would like Kamazi to address that particular issue and see exactly what is being done to counteract that movement and make it simple for folks to buy among themselves, within themselves, so that they don't have to pay so much tariffs related to intra-trade among African nations. Kamazi?
Thank you, Doctor. As my sister mentioned, when the African Founding Fathers came together, one of the initiatives they took was to unite Africa. We need to have one single market. As you know, in the market, you need to trade. How do you trade? To be able to trade, you need payment. People need to pay. How do you make payments? So you need one has money, one has a product, now we have a market. So now what we do, we have a market, we have countries with the market, but what Africa was missing was infrastructure, for payment infrastructure. That's in finance, because as you know, money and the payment are cousins, right? So if I have money, I have to pay somebody, I need a platform where I can be able to pay. What Africa Continental Free Trade Area did was to have one infrastructure development or digital infrastructure called Pan-African Payment and Settlement System. So today is a digital platform that is being launched about 5 months ago. That the payment platform is being implemented by a Pan-African bank called Africa Bank, Africa Export Import Bank. Actually is led by a Nigerian, the group CEO. What they are doing today, in a way you really have to understand, is they took 6 countries pilots, and they have 12 banks participants. Also, they have 4 switchers. As you can imagine, because we are talking about payment and the settlement. Someone has to pay, the money has to sell. What this payment system is doing across Africa, if you're having one payment system, centralized system, when we are going to make a payment, it's going to be instantly done. While before, you have to wait maybe 30 days before the settlement can take place before. I'll give you another example. In Africa today, 80% of transactions are settled outside of Africa. So you can see the system, what is going to bring, is going to bring what you call efficiency and affordability. Because 20% of fees, transaction fees, end up being in London, because when we're trading goes to London or Paris or US before you can get paid in Africa. Today, I'll give you an example. Nigeria and Ghana, Sierra Leone and Cote d'Ivoire are the participant countries in these payment systems. If the Kente, a seller, a supplier for Kente in Ghana, want to sell the Kente to a Nigerian buyer, what happens, the settlement, the payment will be done in Naira, in Nigeria. So when you send me the Kente, I'll pay in Naira, and I pay in local money. You no longer have to pay in any dollars or pounds or any foreign currencies. Right now is going to be done is instant payment immediately in local currency. In a brief, that's what I can say. This is transformational something happening on the continent of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. I would advise you, especially those of you sitting down here, if you have to make the right payments, I have an account. I have my own account. Please send it to my account. My account is 007. You know, these things are happening today, but not very many people know about it. Mr. Prime Minister, I know you were very instrumental, Olivia, you were very instrumental in getting this thing done. What do you think can be done differently to expedite foreign action as well as reducing the potential for problems associated with the payments? Can you translate?
Yes, one of the challenges, as you can imagine, sorry, I thought it was a question to me. I apologize. Sorry. So, Dr. Ewa is asking, as we are en français, donc, Dr. Ewa, il demande, avec tout ce que le système de paiement existant aujourd'hui, qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire pour que les choses avancent rapidement, qu'il n'y ait pas ce retard dans la façon dont on fait les transactions? Qu'est-ce qui peut être fait aujourd'hui?
Je vous remercie pour la question. Je pense que la clé, c'est d'abord la volonté politique. La volonté des dirigeants.
There has to be the will of leaders.
Sur le plan politique, nous devons comprendre ce que ma sœur venait de dire tout à l'heure, Siké, c'est que l'Afrique devient un pays.
At the political level, Africa is to become like a country.
Et que les échanges, les partenariats doivent d'abord être faits entre Africains.
The partnerships has to be done among the Africans.
Deuxièmement, l'Union africaine doit changer ses priorités.
Also, the African Union has to change its priorities.
Actuellement, l'Union africaine est une organisation politique.
Today, African Union is a political organization.
Elle doit devenir une organisation économique.
It has to become an economic organization.
Les intérêts économiques de l'Afrique doivent passer en avant.
The African interests should become one.
Nous pouvons gérer les organismes sous-régionaux, CEDEAO, CEMAC, etc.
We can manage the regional blocks such as ECOWAS, ESC, SADC, and so on and so forth.
Mais les orientations et la dynamique doivent partir de l'Union africaine.
The dynamics in the unions has to be made by African Union.
Et par là, donc, harmoniser les législations et casser les barrières entre les pays africains.
We have to harmonize policies in the legal framework in the way the countries can trade between each other.
Thank you. Honestly, it's becoming something that has to be taken very seriously because, as they have already indicated, there's so many problems associated with inter-trade concepts among Africans. We have our political folks who do not even understand what is going on. They don't. How do we go about re-engineering their thinking faculties so that they will be in a position, I'm talking about the political aspect of it, how do we re-engineer our political folks to this concept? And what do you think would be done immediately in terms of education to accelerate that process? Atiri?
Thank you so much for the question, Dr. Ewa. It is a mindset change. It's a mindset switch that has to happen in Africa, and it is happening in Africa. And I actually forgot to mention, Africa has, as we have it, 5 regions: North, South, East, and West Central, and then the 6th region being us. So when you look at it, it's 6 regions. And I actually been blessed to let you know last week the ECOWAS, the Western Region Youth, nominated me to be their strategic advisor.
Can you give me a round of applause, please?
Excellent.
And I bring this up, thank you. I bring this up to say, when I say the mindset switch, it will begin with the youth, understanding what they need to do respectfully. And I was telling them about, the demonstrations and all those things don't really can work, but it doesn't work. We have political power, we have social capital to be able to use to encourage the leaders to do what they need to do. My few conversations with them, I realized that they don't have information because the bridge that is supposed to be built for them to understand the political will, how it runs, the economic will, how it runs, the social, they don't have it. And so I put myself out there and say, listen, we're going to have an education on how to progress and encourage your leaders to do what you need to do for them, as well as all of them also engaging in finding positions that enable them. The same thing that I think Georgia, this season, we have 8 Africans running for office in Georgia, in Atlanta. For the reason being is you have to be in there to effect the change that Reverend Jesse Jackson has been preaching. We can't sit on the sideline and say it's working, it's not working. You can teach old dogs new tricks. We have some old dogs that want to learn. So let's use the youth as a bridge to have this conversation and making sure we hold the leaders accountable from a different perspective.
Fantastic, fantastic. I wish it's that easy, especially when our political force respond to objective criticism, don't even care to respond to those issues correctly that affect their folks. Clancy, you just discussed the Pan-African Settlement System, which was started about a few months ago. In your own opinion, what do you think at this particular time should be done expeditiously to let folks understand it is to the benefits of the country rather than to the benefits of political folks who run the government?
Thank you so much. This is a very important question. Today, I think, as Matilda mentioned about youth, I think youth inclusion, we need to make sure, as you know, Prime things I also mentioned about that, the 65% of the population of Africa are under 35 years old. As you can imagine, this is a majority of the population of Africa. The youth inclusion and participation in the development of Africa we want will be critical. Also, we have another section of Africa does not exist without women powers. However, the women are in informal trade. We need to bring them in formal trade. Once we integrate this inclusion for women in the youth, we will see the boom in the development of Africa. I think this is a tool missing the link for the development of Africa. As we are talking about the digital market, it means youth are comfortable using internet, social media, everything, then they become engine for the development or for the talk about the payment systems and the other protocols that have been also signed, such as free movement of the services or people and so on and so forth. The youth will be very critical. I think that's what has to be done.
Right. I think based upon what you just said and what the Prime Minister said as well as our young lady, education is the most important thing. Education is the most important thing. Unfortunately, there are some places or some countries you go. Today, I've been there, some places. They don't even teach history in classrooms. 90% of what is going on today is technology. As soon as you give someone a phone and a computer, he doesn't even want to know exactly how that computer came about. He just wants to jump on it and use it to his benefit. What fundamentally, Mr. Prime Minister, do you think we can explore and implore to our youths, to our prime ministers and presidents, ministers of education, whatever? What can we do to let these people know that understanding the basic tools of development and education are more important than political rhetoric? Merci.
Monsieur le Premier ministre, nous avons discuté sur l'aspect de l'éducation. Que pensez-vous faire, que ce soit les politiciens, les leaders des pays, qu'est-ce qui peut être fait pour encourager ces jeunes gens dont nous parlons ici dans cet aspect d'éducation? Qu'est-ce qui peut être fait, surtout par les politiciens et tous les leaders d'Afrique?
C'est une question importante. Je pense même que c'est la base du départ de toute organisation.
And all the departure from the organization, how do we organize?
Non seulement le programme éducationnel de nos pays doit être revu,
not only our education systems in Africa has to be revised.
Nous bénéficions aujourd'hui d'un vieux système d'éducation.
Today we benefit from the old system or colonization education system.
Il y a des cours qui devraient être orientés sur le patriotisme et le civisme même des jeunes.
There should be some courses that should be focused, or curriculum should be focused on civic education.
Et nous devons suivre l'horloge ou l'orientation du temps.
And we have to follow and to abide with the time horizon.
Aujourd'hui, le numérique est incontournable.
Of course, today, digitalization is very vital.
Si vous regardez le temps dans nos différents pays qu'on met à l'éducation pour le numérique, ça ne représente rien.
If you see some countries' investment in terms of digitalization, the time is very significant.
Amener ces jeunes à aller vers la recherche, avec toute l'énergie dont ils disposent.
with all energies in the research and development that they might dispose.
Mais pour arriver à ça, la clé, ce sont les dépenses publiques dans les filets sociaux.
To achieve that, the key will be how investment will put into the public education.
Et donc, on revient au problème de l'économie.
And then we come back with the economic problem.
Okay, now, it is important for us to see that things actually work out coterminously. Number one, how do foreign intellectuals, foreign activists, foreign politicians, how do you think, or what should we do to let these folks know that it is important, given the developments in the continent, what do you think we can do to just ask them to come and help us? What should we do as a continent? What should we do to drive, to let people understand that Africa at this particular time, even though we have the necessary resources to function as a people, the new developments are enormous. What can we do, Mr. Prime Minister, to let them come and assist us? Because when you want to do development, you hear all kinds of things negative about us. What do you think, based upon your experience, we can do to attract people to come to us?
Monsieur le Premier ministre, avec toutes les expertises externes de l'extérieur, et aussi avec les partenaires en développement, qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire, aussi les investisseurs américains ou ailleurs, qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire pour les attirer, pour venir faire le partenariat et travailler avec nous. L'encouragement qu'on peut les encourager à travailler avec nous.
Je pense qu'il y a un déficit au niveau médiatique, au niveau des relations qu'il y a entre les différents pays et pratiquement entre l'Afrique et les États-Unis.
I think there is a shortage in terms of our challenges, in terms of communication and sending out a message from Africa to the world.
D'où l'importance pour l'Afrique de travailler beaucoup plus avec les chambres de commerce que vous êtes,
where there is a need for African countries to work with various organizations such as Chamber of Commerce, like ours,
donner les outils de communication et d'information, surtout même en ligne, où les partenaires ou les investisseurs peuvent voir une traçabilité, comment est-ce qu'ils peuvent arriver dans nos différents pays.
Provide communication tools whereby those partners can go the access to information so that it can be educated.
Et au niveau des pays africains, j'ai parlé tout à l'heure des réformes de facilité de commerce, et notamment sur le plan fiscal.
Earlier on, I mentioned about doing business reform in the improvement so that we can improve our taxation systems.
Et nous devons développer des structures d'accueil.
We also have to develop our tourism, make sure we develop our tourism is really attractive to foreigners.
Et encore une fois, les débats sont trop basés sur le plan politique. On doit pouvoir les ramener au niveau économique. C'est ça la puissance.
Exactly. We have to move from political discussions to economic development.
Let's make this dialogue. If there is anyone who has a question, I will come to you. So we have approximately 10 minutes. We will talk to you again.
Is there one company in the Congo, public sector, you can invest in? When you invest in Coca-Cola, as long as you call it all about Coca-Cola. Because that actually comes out of Coca-Cola. There's companies that have manufacture Coca-Cola. They buy sugar from local jobs, local farms, they drive and all that. Is there a Congo company you invest in? You invest in Coca-Cola, go do it. Then that economy is going public. You know what?
I did not hear the last sentence. The last sentence.
What he's asking is there a company in the Congo that we can invest in and take it public here? And he was saying that examples like Coca-Cola, which is a public company in the Congo, but are there Congolese companies that we might be able to invest in and take public?
Commander, hold on, one more. We'll take two more questions and then you would all respond at the same time. Any more questions? Okay, we have one here.
Thank you all to the Prime Minister and to Kamanzi. I'm Representative Carol Ammons in Illinois. And I wanted to touch on what was said about the political environment. In the 6th region, which most elected officials here, certainly in Illinois, have not tied to the 6th region. How do we start really putting not only the education space out for us to tie to the 6th region so that we could use our leverage as elected officials on this side of the continent to help the policies that are making it difficult for us to do business on the other side of the continent.
Thank you. And one more question.
Monsieur le Premier ministre de DRC, merci beaucoup. Vous avez bien parlé. Mais je veux prendre la question en anglais parce que ça fait longtemps que je n'ai pas parlé français. I want to find out, when you gave your speech, you did not tell us about the security of the DRC to go and invest. Is the security okay because of political upheavals from time to time? And also, you talked very well about the power, electricity, and so on. But you didn't tell us, is it solar? Is it nuclear? How do you generate so much electricity compared to other African countries? I would be interested in finding out. And then the youths in Africa, they form over 75% of the population. How do you harness their energy?
Thank you. What we're going to do is we'll deal with those 10 questions and then I'll take two more. The first question was directed to the Prime Minister. Will you please translate so that we can move on?
Révérend, Monsieur le Premier ministre, le révérend, sa question était de savoir s'il y a une société congolaise qui existe aujourd'hui et que les gens peuvent investir dans cette société. Donc, si c'est possible de mettre sur le marché international public, genre sur le marché des capitaux pour les profils, comme Coca-Cola, un exemple, voilà.
La législation le permet. On peut mettre une société congolaise sur le marché public ou le marché international. Ça ne pose aucun problème.
The legal framework in DRC allows local companies to be able to access to international markets, also foreign investors to be able to invest in a particular company.
Sur la première partie de la question, effectivement, il existe des sociétés où communauté internationale peut prendre des parts et pouvoir fonctionner au Congo. Mais ça a un désavantage.
Of course, on the first half, the first of your question, yes, there exists a couple of companies in DRC where people can invest, and there you can provide some specifics.
Le désavantage, c'est que quand vous entrez dans une société déjà existante, vous aurez du mal à bénéficier de codes des investissements, c'est-à-dire des avantages fiscaux.
There might be some disadvantages when you want to invest, especially fiscal policies. That's one aspect of it.
Or, en créant une nouvelle société ou en rajoutant les parts dans une société existante, ça va vous permettre de bénéficier de codes des investissements qui peuvent aller avec une taxation légère jusqu'à 5 ans, et les 2 premières années, il n'y a pas de taxes à payer.
As mentioned, with an existing companies, you don't have enough advantage. As a new startup, new companies, when you form a new company, you benefit tax incentives from the countries, such as like tax holidays. You can have 5 years tax holiday, you don't have to pay taxes when you create a new structure or new company.
Ce sont des réformes mises en place justement pour faciliter les nouveaux investissements et les investissements étrangers.
Those are facilities that exist today to attract new investment, new money coming into the country.
Thank you. The second question deals with
Sixth region.
the sixth region. I think Kamazi says you represent that area. I'd like you to answer that question.
La deuxième question portait essentiellement sur la diaspora. Yes, no, I thought I wanted to support it too. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you, my good sister. On diaspora, as I mentioned earlier, African Union is formed by 5 regions: South, Central, East, West, and North of Africa. Back in 2012, Africans in diaspora came together. They asked the leaders of African Union, how about we living in diaspora? That time, the African Union now defined who is diaspora. Every time we talk about African diaspora, we assume African diaspora are African immigrant. No. African diaspora are all Africans or black living outside of the continent. From that time, the definition of diaspora came with the 6th region. Then the 6th region was created, all of us who live outside of Africa. We are region. In 2019, the African Union ambassador to US came to Illinois to form what is called African Diaspora of Illinois. They asked me to mobilize diaspora to all African American, Afro-Latino, Afro-Caribbean, the African immigrant. We came together in a form organization in the world called African Diaspora 6th region. So I really encourage you, if you can join us, we have organization of African diaspora in Illinois. We have programs like last year, in December, we took a group of African American and many more African diaspora to the continent of Africa, to Ghana, at the Cape Coast. We had a wonderful time. We have investment opportunities. That's what we can do. We need to come together. If we want to develop Africa, we can do it only when we come together. So feel free to join us, and then we can do everything we mentioned, we can do it.
Thank you, Kamazi. The third question was related to how can we make the youths become part of what we are doing. I think it came from, yes. Can you deal with that?
Yeah, I think that question was specifically directed at His Excellency, but I would be happy to. Is that okay? Okay. Okay then. Well, the youth of not only the continent on this side of the world, the diaspora, are very different. And I love their style. They do not see barrier, they do not see color, they do not see, they see us working together. And so to be able to get the youth organized, somebody says information is readily available to everybody else, but there's too much information for the youth to understand what information they need to consume. And so what we need to do with all the bridge that we do have is being able to bring this conversation forth in the places and the platform that the youth are. Like the lady was saying, how can we get even the youth to have this conversation of what is happening on the continent and also here? The African youth that I've been speaking with know what they want. It's just that they feel it is the space of the elderly or the people that are ahead of them. So having this conversation with them, letting them understand that 75%, this is your tomorrow that we are living in. So everything else that happens, we need to engage them. They are ready, so we also need to find a way to reach out to them, have the right conversation, take them to the continent like Mr. Oliver did, and make sure that they connect and then move us forward because they are ready to move forward.
Thank you. I think the other issue was related to whether, what kind of energy, is it an energy and security and all of that stuff? Is it possible, who wants to take over that one?
I think there was a question for us, because c'est ok, elle a posé la question que vous avez mentionné de l'énergie. Quelle est la source d'énergie? Vous avez, il n'a pas bien saisi si vous avez mentionné ce qui est la source d'énergie, s'il s'agit de hydro ou bien solaire. Donc, il voulait que vous clarifiez sur ça. Et puis aussi sur le point de la sécurité. Donc, la sécurité au Congo pour les investisseurs qui investissent au Congo, est-ce que il y a la sécurité pour que les investisseurs viennent et se sentent un peu sécurisés?
Oui. Thank you very much.
Merci pour la question. L'énergie, je l'ai dit tout à l'heure, c'est l'énergie hydroélectrique. Il y a une grande partie sur les 100 000 MW de réserve qui sont sur le fleuve Congo. C'est une réserve de 44 000 MW. Et le restant, 66 000 MW, c'est sur les différentes rivières qui sont éparpillées à travers le pays. Donc c'est une énergie propre, une énergie hydroélectrique.
Yeah, precisely you mentioned about hydropower energy. And as you mentioned before, there are 100,000 megawatts available. For now, those available for now is 44,000 megawatts. The others also are to be developed. Of course, these are proper energy. Those are the renewable energies for investments.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we're going to have approximately 2 more questions. This is what we're going to do. As soon as we leave here, the launch is way on the other side of the building. We'll go over there and I'm going to first of all say thank you for coming. The Reverend wants to leave and he wants to say something before we go. Please remain seated as soon as possible. When he finishes, we'll move on to the other hall for the lunch. Thank you very much.
Grab kind of big hand. Give us a two companies are going public. We just know who they are. You can buy shares of stock. You go to the Walmart meeting, thousands there, you bought a piece of stock. What can you American buy a piece of stock? Everybody's in the whole group can buy it. There's a drug to buy it. How do you piece of stock? You get shares of stock. You don't need to have that, here's the question. When the Congo fighting, it always gets the headline. But Uganda is rolling, Rwanda is rolling, together with discussed. In fact, the Congo is so rich. Right? It's really making me something. Prime Minister, you know, they realize this. Talk to me.
Je n'ai pas bien compris précisément. Je pense qu'il est tenté de dire que le Congo est riche, qu'il y a des potentialités au Congo. En gros, c'est comment attirer les investisseurs dans ce pays qui est riche. Voilà, c'est ce que j'ai bien compris.
Merci infiniment, révérend. Encore une fois, vous nous ouvrez votre porte, qui a toujours été grandement ouverte. C'est vraiment un plaisir de venir jusqu'ici et de participer à cette conférence. Nous allons continuer à travailler ensemble sur le Congo, où effectivement les investissements sont la bienvenue. Je vous remercie.
It's my great pleasure to work with you. It's a great honor. Of course, there's so much to do together. We continue to develop Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo together. It's there's a huge investment. We continue to work with you to push Congo to the map of the world.
All right. Valley Chevrolet. Valley Chevrolet. That mentioned both those speak. Valley Chevrolet. Barry told the Johnson tonight, Jason Penny. You, my friend, have lunch with me and my special guest. Let's call over to me when they have lunch. Let's leave it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.